came in late to the session, they'll still be able to have the larger part of this as well. So with that being said, special welcome to Javila.
Thank you so much, Gerda. I hope you have your slides ready, because I'm told that you have some slides that you're gonna play. Yes, you do. All right, that's a thumbs up.
I'm always ready, girl. I'm a scout.
All right, great.
Yeah.
All right, welcome again, everyone, to our second Campa Talks. First one for this year, but the second one that we've done overall. It's a pleasure to have you. If you joined us before, if you joined us last year, thank you for coming back. I hope you told a friend. I hope there are more people here today. But we really just want to welcome you all, and I'm happy to see that everyone is kind of just putting where they're coming from or where they are right now, as we try to connect in this way. So, you know, we are thrilled to have you to be a part of this conversation today. But before we get started, just to sort of enlighten you on what CanPA is, what CanPA means, what we do. CanPA stands for the Caribbean Alliance of National Psychological Associations. So these are all the psychological associations from different Caribbean islands put together in one united body. And it was launched in 2013 and organized to advance psychological knowledge, research, skills, and practice in the service of Caribbean well-being and development, while addressing the professional interests of psychological practitioners, academics, and researchers. So really, we are looking to advance psychology in the Caribbean. Just as we have European psychology, American psychology, there is a Caribbean psychology, and we want others to know this as well, and we want to develop that area. So CanPA works with the Caribbean psychology community to develop a psychology discipline that is relevant to issues and realities in the Caribbean, and to support the development of the discipline throughout all the region. CanPA sponsors regular regional conferences of psychology in the Caribbean. Now, its standing committees support the regional development of psychology education and training, growth and development of national organizations of psychology, and strengthens the standards for professional psychology communication and promotion of scholarship, and the promotion of robust mechanisms for disaster response and psychosocial support. Now, if you've ever been to our Caribbean Regional Conference of Psychology, you'll realize that this is where we have that conversation in en masse, where we really look at the disaster response initiatives from the Caribbean, what psychosocial support looks like from the Caribbean. And this is where we get to discuss the psychological scholarship that is coming out of this region for our people. And now CanPA members are, as I mentioned earlier, members of the National Associations of Psychology from different Caribbean countries. I am from the Jamaican Psychological Society, for example, but also a grouping of individual psychologists from Caribbean countries and territories where there is no National Psychological Society at this moment. Okay, so Gerda, if you're geared up, I want us to go over a few of the details regarding our time today so that everything can flow smoothly. So I'm going to hand that over to you.
So very much. So we will kick off with, just so you know, we're just going to have a few slides. We have a special welcome message from our governor of U.S. Virgin Island. So just to welcome you a little bit to these CanPA Talks, and as we get ourselves ready for CRCP 2020 plus, we will have our main speaker for this evening. Really excited to have Dr. Baffa joining us this evening. And then right after that, we're going to have some discussion about Deaf and Dying by Keisha Hines, as well as Jason Winter, who's joining us as well this evening. All of that will be moderated with by Javila, as you just met. We definitely want to make sure to give a little bit of time to allow you to connect with each other around some of the things you've heard today. And so we'll also have like some time at the end to allow for a little bit of some of the breakout discussions that we need to have. So like you get a chance to also share some of your best practice models and what's working, what's not working for all of you. And then we'll come right back as a group and say goodbye and get ourselves ready for tomorrow. So so with that being said, I will just open us up with a few slides and that welcome message. You never know with internet and whether or not things will work for you. So let's hope that this one is gonna work for us tonight. And so let's see, just sharing my screen with you. Okay. So really from the beginning, right? Javila talks a little bit about that a little bit. So, and so some of just the basic things, just right, asking you to think about, just making sure that you mute yourself, that you know that during the time of the presentation, so that just everybody can get a chance to enjoy, you know, hearing from the speakers. Really typing your questions and your comments in the chat room, so that way, so you don't lose sight of them as you're thinking about them. As the speakers are there, we'll collect them and share them with others as well, because that we here, you know, working as a team, so we'll be able to use that as well. If you wanna, you can, to see the speaker full your screen, you can just click speaker view. So if you don't want to see all the little heads looking at you in terms of the Zoom, you can just click on speaker view, and that will enable you to see just the speaker fully. And then as well, like you can use the everyone chat function for just general messages only. And so if you want to send a personal message, so this is not the time for you to say, "Together you look like the bomb today," right? So that might just be a personal message you send just to me, you know, as opposed to everybody in the chat, right? And then of course, like I said, that following the presentation, we'll have some Q&As for you guys as well. So with that being said, hoping I'm going to click on this message and we'll be able to hear the governor's voice from that. That's if it takes us directly from it.
Welcome to CanpaTalks. I am Albert Bryan, Governor of the U.S. Virgin Islands. As you know, the CRCP conference was scheduled to be hosted on our beautiful island of St. Croix this year. But
let me pause for a minute. Is it working? Can you hear him? Awesome. Okay.
As in many of your locations, the COVID-19 pandemic has changed our plans, but definitely not our enthusiasm. We are excited about this year's CanpaTalks because it will allow us to keep the conversation going about issues that concern us all: racial justice in the Caribbean and Indigenous healing. Please engage fully in the virtual sessions this year, and thank you so much for attending. And yes, we are even more excited to know that the local organizing committee, the Association of Virgin Islands Psychologists, and the regional organization of CAMPA continue working together to bring a world-class conference on St. Croix next year. Please plan to attend the CRCP 2020 Plus, Caribbean Resilience, Psychology's Response to Historical Contemporary Disasters from November 17th through the 20th, 2021. We want you to leave St. Croix refreshed and inspired and ready to take on new endeavors at home. On behalf of Lieutenant Governor Trikenza A. Roach and the people of the U.S. Virgin Islands, we look forward to meeting you next year. I wish you much success with CanpaTalks.
Lovely, lovely. I love it when things work. I love it. So hopefully you had a chance. Thank you so much to the governor and for not only being not able to be with us, but able to get us a message as well. So I'm just gonna reshare my screen back with you so we can connect with our this year's focus for this year. As you know, today's conversation, these are your speakers. Love to, to take a screenshot if you want. These are our speakers. The session today is really to take a look at some of the challenges that we're having right now regarding treatment, how we're conducting virtual treatment. And as I said before, we are super excited to be welcoming these amazing speakers to share their experience and their thoughts with us. And with that being said, I'm going to turn over the podium to none other but our fabulous Javila Ho to get us going.
Thank you, Gerardo. All right, guys. So again, CanpaTalks Day 1, we're looking at virtual treatment. And so I'm just going to introduce our featured speaker for today, and then she will kick us off, and then we'll continue with our other speakers for this evening. So our featured speaker for today is Dr. Migdalia Brathwaite, and I hope I pronounced your first name correctly. She's a graduate student of the University of Pittsburgh and holds a terminal degree in counseling psychology. She is a clinical supervisor at the Department of Health Division of Behavioral Science in St. Croix. the US Virgin Islands. She served as coordinator of the St. Croix Trauma Learning Community and has had over 25 years of experience in shaping the behaviors of diverse populations. She's a creative life strategist, thought leader, spiritual teacher, and forgiveness facilitator. As a published author, her works include The 490 Forgiveness Solution, Beneath the Bark, it's B-A-R-K, The Life Attitude Inventory, a preliminary evaluation of a measure of spiritual orientation, and she recently completed the manuscript for her new book, Flicker, a multi-generational book that invites you to examine how to manage creative intention. Dr. Brathwaite is the founder of Green Brain Industries, a personal development organization. She's a speaker, seminar leader, retreat facilitator, and coach who has developed a variety of seminars and educational programs, which include but are not limited to the 490 Initiative, A Course in Forgiveness, Hiding Out Loud, Exploring the Impact of Personal Value in a Selfie Culture, Sexual Integrity Series, Pornified, How Pornography is Impacting Our Brains and Transforming Society, Soil Isn't Dirty, Remaining Rooted and Grounded in a Hypersexualized Culture, Rectified, Taking a Leap of Hope in an Age of Pornification, and I Object, Reclaiming Dignity When the World Says No. And this one is for women only. The Plan, Knowing God's Purpose for Your Life, and Hitched, Discovering the Shape of Your Bond for Couples. Dr. Brathwaite's aim is to point people towards forming a deeper relationship with God, creating compassionate communities, and living in wholeness. Dr. Brathwaite, we thank you so much for being a part of this. Welcome, welcome, and thank you. I'm going to hand it over to you.
Thank you so much, Ms. Davila Ho. I'm going to share my screen with you. And today, for these few minutes, we're going to talk about some of the challenges that I have had with working with the people that I work with so that they can grow in the light. And what do I mean by growing in the light? Well, I simply mean that the people that I've worked with have struggled with a lot of issues that has short-circuited their work in their treatment, and that is stigma. So I have two questions for you today. So the first question is, what do you do when the shame of your pain threatens to stifle your ability to reach out for help? And what do you do when the fact that you're even utilizing behavioral health services is such a heavy secret to carry that you feel like if anyone found out about it, that it would be so deeply wounding to you? So these are some of the challenges that I found myself struggling with, working with the population that I work with. I work with typically our marginalized population here in St. Croix. And I found that they were bouncing in and out of treatment. Sometimes they weren't coming, and oftentimes it was because of shame. So today I want to share with you some of the ways that I have battled stigma. And so in the time that we have permitting, I'm going to be going like the speed of light. So let's get started. So I decided that I would start something that I decided to call the slow grow method. And what do I mean by slow grow? Well, I simply mean that I decided to go where the people were and start planting seeds so that these people could no longer hide in the shadows because they wanted to work on their mental health challenges, but that they could be in the light and grow in the light. So let's talk about the first thing that I worked on. So I decided to come up with something called Let's Talk. And it was really a grassroots effort. We were equipped with two schools of thought. Everyone has a story to tell, and everyone wants to be heard. Interestingly enough, as I was preparing this particular slide, I ran across another Let's Talk initiative. And we see here that it's a picture with a woman that has words all over her face. And so this was, I really would like you to check out the website, because what they did in their work is that they asked people to share with them some of the thoughts that they had that they would not share with anyone else. And would they wear those thoughts on their faces? And we know that most of the people that we see show us the face without the thoughts. And so literally what we did was we armed ourselves with a table and 2 chairs and just wrote the words, "Let's talk," on some index cards, positioned ourselves in different places around the island, and waited for natural curiosity to click in. And boy, did it click in. People would come in and they would ask us what we were doing and why we were there. And we shared with them that we were just there to talk about whatever they wanted to talk about. People were suspicious. And ultimately, though, they would say, "Well, I don't have anything to talk about." And I would say, "I think you do. What'd you have for breakfast this morning?" And a simple question like that led into learning about people's painful and difficult histories. Another thing that grew out of Let's Talk is our work with Cedar Citizens. And that's where we were doing a Let's Talk for our seniors. And so during COVID, this was something that we were doing online, having people just join and talk, and we would talk about whatever they wanted to talk about in that time frame. However, now I am working at the Clubhouse on St. Croix, which is sort of a day treatment program, and so we're training our members to learn how to have conversations so that they can reach out to our incredible seniors. Another thing that we did during this time is we created virtual meditation and breathing sessions where people would twice a week join with us and they would breathe and meditate for a period of time. And that had great success too in providing services during a time when our breath is being challenged. So let's talk about another thing that we did. We worked on providing classes on the art of forgiveness. And so it wasn't your typical, let's talk about conflict resolution, but we were able to help people see that art is an act of turning new imaginative ideas into reality, and forgiveness is an act of turning new and imaginative ideas about self into reality. And that also was something that was well received by the community. Now, as you heard, Beneath the Bark has been something that I developed some time back, and we are now going to utilize that during COVID-19, virtually and in person, for the people that work at our clubhouse, the people that come to our clubhouse. What does bark mean? So bark is the bast, which is the fragile part of the tree that's always working to try to be that rougher bark to protect the tree. And we all have those experiences too. Arbor is the company of other trees, which allows us to talk about supportive services. Roots goes through the dark areas of the soil to try to give the tree what it needs to be nourished. And then kyanizing allows us to talk about what kind of goals are you looking to move towards. So I'm going to jump to something that we do at the clubhouse, and that is we teach members how to teach people the stories that they want them to learn. And we use this wonderful little quote: "In learning, you will teach, and in teaching, you will learn." And so I want to introduce you to a couple of the members. Meet Cynthia. Cynthia is a mother of 4 children, and she's never spoken in public. In fact, she's never thought that her life had any viability or purpose. And Cynthia, as a result of coming to our clubhouse program, has had the opportunity to share her love for quotes and share how quotes have helped her throughout her life. So what that has done is that's allowed her to now have her own training for other people that have mental health challenges at the clubhouse, which we call Cynthia's Corner. I also want to introduce you to Marcellus. Marcellus also never spoke in front of people. Marcellus is challenged with even sharing his own thoughts. And when he first started coming to the clubhouse, he never really shared much of what was on his mind. Now he's learned to anchor his personal resources and has shown us how he's able to take things that would be considered trash and turn them into treasure. And as a result, he now will be using from his own resources. We're helping him to develop a training for members at the clubhouse who will learn how to use the resources at their disposal to turn things that are considered trash into treasure. A lot of our members have felt like trash, and we're trying to help them learn that they can recognize the treasures that they have. So the question is, did I stop stigma? And of course, the answer to that is no, I haven't stopped stigma. But what I have been able to do is to start breaking the hold that stigma has on people just around the edges, and to silence the shame that comes with the experience of stigma. So I would like to share with you how we start our day at the clubhouse. We do what we call great start activities every day. And so part of it is to recognize that every member that we have is somebody. And so today, I think that it would be fitting for us to end our time together the way that we start our time together every day. I know everyone is on mute, but if you will say this with me, I think you will experience some of the seeds that we plant in our members every day. So all together, let's say, I am somebody. I was somebody when I came here. I'll be somebody when I leave here.
I put the telephone number in the chat real quick.
I am powerful.
My
I am
email address.
strong. I deserve to be here. I have things to do, people to impress, and places
Places
to
to bless.
I am my own champion. I own the earth beneath my feet. I am worthy.
Worthy.
You
You
are
are worthy.
And
And
we
we can do.
We are the clubhouse members, and we were born
to make a difference.
But for us today, I will say, we
We
are
are the
behavioral health
behavioral health
professionals,
professionals.
and we
We were
born
born to
to
make
make
a
a
difference.
difference. So I'd like to
Powerful,
thank you so
powerful.
much for your time and attention. And I hope that as we move forward, we can make a difference in breaking the stigma that holds people bound in their shame and their pain. Thank you.
Wow, thank you so much. I hope you can see the virtual claps that are happening. Thank you so much for sharing that. Wow, it felt like that was really quick.
I tried to stay within the time frame. I have 20 seconds to spare.
I think you did. I think you did. But very powerful stuff. I mean, you know, it's always great to see how we can be creative in how we empower others.
Yes.
Right. And you know, you mentioned Cynthia's corner. It's really interesting to sort of see people move from not being able to speak in public at all to, I mean, she has a whole like corner, a program, you know, sort of named after her. And so we see the beginning of the sort of treatment and the empowerment, and we see it through to fruition. So thank you so much for sharing those stories and for your work in the community. Do we have any questions in the group? I'm just checking the chat here. I'm seeing lots of commendations here. Do we have any questions for her? All right, well, if not, and feel free to still put them in there because we can have that conversation afterwards, but if not, I'm gonna go right ahead and introduce our second speaker. Is that all right? Any questions? All right, Keisha says she loves the affirmations, and I hope people screenshotted some of those so you can say them on a daily basis. So thank you again so much for that. All right, I'm gonna introduce our second speaker for today, and this is Dr. Jason Winto. Now, Dr. Jason Winto hails from Kingston, Jamaica. He holds a master's degree and PhD degree in counseling psychology from the Northern Caribbean University, NCU, and a postgraduate diploma in education and training from the Vocational Technical Development Institute, VTDI, and a certificate in substance use and research methodology from the Center of Addiction and Mental Health, Toronto, Canada. Presently, Dr. Winto serves as an associate professor and chair of the Department of Behavioral and Social Sciences at the Northern Caribbean University. Formerly an adjunct lecturer at the International University of the Caribbean, IUC, and the Jamaica Theological Seminary, Seminary in Jamaica, although he is a member of JAMPSych. As a licensed counseling psychologist and educator, Dr. Winto conducts numerous presentations, psychological assessments, and trainings, and has published on mental health related topics, and has served as a radio host on mental health programs. Additionally, he's a psychosocial support volunteer with the Jamaican Red Cross. He's married to Stephanie Christopher, who also has her PhD, and together they have a son, Kyle, and daughter, Kayla. Dr. Winto is a firm believer in Jesus Christ, and he is going to be sharing with us next. Dr. Winto, are you ready? I know I saw him in here.
think you may have just gotten booted off. You know, the internet is a little bit unstable, but I did see him. He must have just gotten
Let me.
pulled out. Yeah.
Mm.
Yes, yes. He's
Mhm.
definitely here, was here, yeah.
He was here. All right. So I'm going to hope that he's able to reconnect. But that means that I am going to switch to our next speaker. Shall I do that? All right, we're going to go ahead and do that. So our next speaker, and hopefully Jason will be able to reconnect. If anyone's able to get in touch with him just to double check that, that would be great. So our next speaker is Mrs. Keisha Bola Hines. She is an associate clinical psychologist and returned to Jamaica with her family in 2018 after spending approximately 15 years living and working in the United Kingdom and Caribbean, primarily in the areas of public and private mental health care, academia, and national security. She's currently the co-coordinator of counseling services for the Ligani region of the Southeast Regional Health Authority, that's in Jamaica, SERO. In this capacity, she provides counseling and other related support services to patients, staff, and their family members across 3 hospitals within the region: Sir John Golding Rehabilitation Center, the National Chest Hospital, and the Hope Institute, which specializes in the treatment of patients diagnosed with cancer. Mrs. Bola Hines previously lectured psychology courses at UWI-Mona and UTech, that's the University of Technology in Jamaica, and is currently a consultant psychologist to the Master's Counseling Program at the Hugh Winter Fertility Management Unit in the Faculty of Medical Sciences, again at UWI-Mona. She's an active member of the Women's Boys School PTA and is a registered member of the Jamaican Psychological Society and the British Psychological Society. Fulfilling God's purpose in her life and serving her family are Mrs. Hines' top priorities. She absolutely enjoys being a full-time wife and a full-time clinician, it seems, and mother to 3 beautiful children. Mrs. Bola Hines, if you are ready, please welcome. Thank you for joining us, and feel free to go ahead and share your screen.
Good evening, everyone. It is a pleasure to be here. I'm getting lots of waves. I love it. I love it. It is not often, let me get right into it. It's not often that I meet someone who is comfortable, much less passionate about addressing issues related to death and dying. A subject to avoid, morbid, dark, an issue to confront only if absolutely necessary are the typical responses. Notwithstanding, there is really an urgent need to expand the context in which these issues are approached, managed, and treated. My intention this evening is to raise awareness from a perspective of living life rather than losing it. How can we help persons to accept, cope with, and manage death and dying as a part of life rather than simply as the end of life? First, we can embrace our personal mortality. It is a common experience that we will all have at some point in our lives. It's not unique. The unknown can be frightening, but what if we chose to live more intentionally simply because a time will come when we stop living? What if we remained acutely aware that our time on earth is limited and therefore we consciously decided each day to live more, love more, laugh more, let go of past hurts, and forgive more? What if we accepted that since death is already sure to come, we may as well maximize love, joy, and peace in our lives? Second, we could normalize it. We could choose to be willing and to be comfortable to have conversations with patients, clients, family members, and friends. Death is sometimes a taboo topic, so talking about it could help to bring some relief. We could talk about purpose. Why are we here? Are we doing what we enjoy? Is this who we want to be? Is there more to give? Are we fulfilled? Is there anything that we'd like to do differently? We could also be open to different perspectives, trusting that none of us need to be truly right or wrong. We We just need to be there for each other. Third, we could desensitize persons from the discomfort of facing death over and over, whether the person is terminally ill, approaching death, facing other medical conditions, or is healthy. Let us not be afraid to ask ourselves or someone else if they're afraid of dying. This could actually be the beginning of new understanding about that person. It could also open new possibilities to provide meaningful support. The life journey ends with death for everyone, but regardless of the current situation, each of us is alive. We are alive. None of us know when we will die. Therefore, it's better if we choose to make the best of what we have. We could utilize the virtues of courage, empathy, and compassion. We could be genuinely willing and curious. Of course, education, training, and practice are really, really important. And a good place to start is thanatology, which is the study of death and dying. In this global pandemic, critical issues of attention include: one, trauma management. COVID-19 has forced us to witness millions of deaths in a very, very short space of time. Our mental and emotional space are also assaulted with graphic images and information flooding. Second, there is global grief and mass death. How can we help a grieving nation? What approach can we take to national healing? What approach can we take to global healing? Third, suicidality. Interventions for persons who are suicidal are grossly lacking. But zero-rate suicide is still possible if we develop strong, well-networked and integrated systems. Fourth, we really need to strengthen our mental health care and social support systems. And fifth, we urgently need to creatively foster good mental health and quality of life in the face of limited resources. These evolving and complex social, cultural, psychological, financial, and spiritual issues related to death and dying require our urgent attention now more than ever. Willingness, curiosity, courage, learning from each other, and daring to be creative are good starting points. Thank you so much for your time and attention.
Thank you so much, Mrs. Bola Hines, for that very interesting and thought-provoking talk. I think I read it somewhere that death is the last taboo, sort of the last thing that we as society has really, left to uncover and to really tackle. So thank you for introducing that again and really bringing it to the fore. So something that, again, it's something that happens to everyone. And so it is worthy of the conversation. So thank you again for sharing that. I'm just checking very quickly, because if we do have Dr. Winter in here, I just want to capitalize on his internet access. Yes, Dr. Winter, I think I see you in here. We did do your introduction. I'm just going to double check. Are there any questions for Mrs. Bola-Hines before I segue to Dr. Winter? I see someone here. I'm not sure if I'm going to pronounce the first name right. It says it might be Juanito, I'm not sure, but it's very interesting, a new perspective to look at death. And again, yes, I thank you for that, because I think people think of death as a scary topic, but when we take a different approach and a different outlook to it, it doesn't have to be that scary. It's a worthwhile conversation to have. So thank you again for introducing that new perspective. Dr. Winto, we have introduced you, so I'm going to ask you to kindly begin your talk with us.
I noticed that Jason is having a bit of an internet issue because even the chat is not working. Yeah, so I do think.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, I have a
I see him on my listing. That's why. Sorry.
No, he's there, but not there, if that makes sense. You know, that's why he's coming in and out.
But that's what we're talking about today, right? The virtual world, and this is what happens. This is what happens.
Exactly, exactly. So if we'll see if Jason, I was trying to see if we can have him on WhatsApp, because you know we always say where there's a challenge, there's a way to break that challenge. So you know, Jason.
Oh, there he is.
I don't know what's happening at this midnight hour. This internet is ridiculous. But I'm not gonna be able to test it right back. You hear me clearly, members of
No,
the
We're
call?
hearing you,
not
but
clearly,
clearly.
Jason.
We're hearing you, but not clearly. It's a bit choppy. And he, Dr. Winter, are you still with us?
I'm going to talk to him. Maybe he can call in. You know that option? Maybe
Call in.
that would be.
Okay,
I'm gonna see if he can. Let me find out.
thank you. All right, well, in the meanwhile, do we have any questions for either of our speakers thus far?
I do have a question.
Go ahead.
I know that conversations about death and dying, particularly in the time of COVID, can be one of the most challenging conversations to have, in part because oftentimes these are deaths that often, you know, that we're not ready for, right? So there's sort of like the death of people that are maybe have a chronic condition like cancer, and you oftentimes have to think about it. And then there's sort of like the sudden death that comes where there wasn't an opportunity to really think about saying goodbye and so forth. And I just wanted to see, Keisha, if you could talk a little bit about this ways for us to think about it, ways that you see it comes up in therapy, your suggestions and thoughts about how we can manage these different types of deaths and situations. Thank you.
Okay, sure. Um, just let me know if I heard you correctly. I'm hearing one, dealing with sudden death, and two, dealing with persons who are approaching death, and three, dealing with persons who are coping with the death of a loved one.
Exactly. Yes.
Yes?
Yes.
Okay, great. So the first thing is, if we are to approach death from the perspective that I'm presenting, then death no longer presents itself as so sudden, because it's a normal part of life. It becomes a normal way for us to live. Some of my clients, in fact, many of them, approach from a Christian perspective. And if we were to look through the Bible, for example, as a point of reference, death is actually something that is honored. The person who died is usually lauded. They get good burial, that sort of a thing. And that usually helps caregivers to have closure. So if we have positive living, we are maximizing life, then the death, the suddenness of it doesn't quite hit us as hard as it does now when we turn a blind eye to the fact that something so real is likely to come. When it comes on to dealing with caregivers, a relative has died, it helps to look at each individual situation. Empathy, compassion, and a willingness to talk with the person about their loss is really, really important. If after that, we are able to present to them a silver lining, it usually makes a difference. If I may quickly share an example, just 2 days ago, someone I know died from COVID. The family was very, very distressed because she left for the hospital and within hours died. There was no opportunity to say goodbye. When I spoke with the family member yesterday, they were speaking about faith, etc. And I used that as an opportunity to speak about God's mercy, and that what she wanted, what the deceased wanted, was to be close to family. She didn't want to be alone. I also looked at what family members desired. They wanted her to be well taken care of and close to her. The fact that she died in short proximity gave both parties what they wanted, and they were able to move forward from that and express gratitude.
That's wonderful. Thanks so much. That's really, really helpful.
Yes, thank you so much.
I have
Okay.
a question. Is Jason back? If not, I have a question.
Coming, he's gonna call, so you can go ahead until he
Okay.
gets.
I see we
With
have
for
one-
Dr. Brathwaite. Dr. Brathwaite, I wondered if you could speak just a little bit about how you get family members to take that same approach with their severely mentally ill. What is the connection that you try to make to help them to carry on that very positive message that you are giving?
So one of the things that we try to do, as I said before, I am now exclusively working at the clubhouse, and we're building that program out. One of the things that we do is if we have family members that are caregivers, we invite them to come with them to their first time with us at the clubhouse. So sometimes we invite them, depending on their ability to provide information. We will invite them into what we call our application process, which is just an intake session that we're calling applications. Because in the clubhouse, everyone, you're not a client, you're a member. We don't do groups, we do trainings. Anyway, so we invite the families to come in, and so that they can be a part of knowing exactly what we want to know about them if that's necessary. But if they don't come into the application process, what we do is we have them join us for the first day that they're going to be there. And we let them see what their family member will be going through. And every so often we ask if they would drop in. So recently I had a referral from you, and that's how we did it. So the family member was well aware of what their family member would be doing. And we also tell them about the trainings that are being developed so that they will know they're starting here, but we're going places. So we do that. And we also invite family members to come back whenever they can. And we're starting to work on having a family day where we'll have families just come in and, spend a couple of hours with us going through the experience and sharing from their perspectives. You're welcome.
I like the, I just want to comment on something. I heard the language that you guys use in the clubhouse. Again, that sort of, affirming, language and empowerment starts from there. You said, you're a member instead of a client, and sort of bringing them into the fold, making them know that they are welcomed. I really, again, we miss some of that sometimes when we kind of make someone the other. And I'm not necessarily saying that everyone has to call their clients a member now, but just based on the context of what you have set up there, again, I really like the framework. I think it is very, very progressive as we look to treatment. I wanted to ask you a question though, Dr. Brathwaite. How did the clubhouse sort of operate during the first stages of COVID-19? So let's go back, early 2020 when no one really knew exactly how long this was going to last. How did you, sort through treatment then?
Right. So we had to close down because we closed down for a period of time. And quite honestly, I was saying before everyone came on, I myself got caught in that COVID loop where I couldn't get back to the island. I had gone to do some work in Kenya. And so I was sort of caught. And so some of the services that we did try to provide were just doing wellness checks on the phone with members, but literally the face-to-face we didn't do for quite some time. And then, so now we're providing a lot of different kinds of opportunities for people to utilize our services. We are working on a lunch and learn program where people can just call in and participate during lunchtime. We're doing virtual trainings where you may not want to come for the whole time that we're providing services, but you may like this particular training and you'll come in virtually for that. We're working on having courageous conversations where people who have overcome different things will come in virtually and talk to our members about how they overcame. And we have what we call guest trainers who are going to be coming in and from all over the world and providing trainings for the members to learn how to do any variety of things, from learning how to do things with their hands to learning how to just really, it's more about crafts and things like that so far. So we are also providing a different we're going in a different direction with our wellness calls. We're providing what we call mini trainings over the phone, where we've synthesized our trainings down to the smallest element so that people could still appreciate our trainings, but in 5-minute increments, 2-minute increments, sort of like what you had us do today, so they could still feel invested. Because what we don't want is for members to feel like, because they don't feel safe enough to come in, that they can't benefit from the services that we provide.
Right. All right. Excellent. Thank you so much. All right. Kai tells me that Dr. Winter is ready. So Kai, do you want to go ahead?
Sure. Jason, speak. Let me see if they can hear you. Hearing?
I'm not.
No, they're not hearing. Hold on. Speak again, Jason.
Audio checking 1, 2. Hopefully you hear me. No, if this is coming out clearly, we're speaking to make this work.
I can hear. It's very faint, but I can hear. So if we all mute our mics, I think we should be able to.
I need to project my voice. I don't want to come across as though I am shouting, but if it is that I need to speak a little bit louder, just let me know if this is better. Are you hearing me?
You hearing?
1, 2, 3.
Okay, all right. I think I got the spot. Jason, go on.
You got it?
Yeah, I was looking for like the spot on my laptop.
You find it and let's make it work.
Yeah.
Good time. We keep trying until.
There we are.
Good day, everyone. Loud and clear from my end. Yes.
Yes, they're nodding.
Beautiful, beautiful, beautiful. All right, we're gonna make it work. As a part of the self-care that I really want to kind of speak from the heart, really. It's one of the first things that we're even seeing now is the issue of flexibility. As mental health professionals, mental health individuals who have an interest in mental health on the cusp. Now, wherever you are there, be it that you're trying to your career, or you're a mid-career person, or a seasoned career person, one of the crucial things we have come to appreciate about self-care is that flexibility. Do you have that flexibility? And how adjustable you are. Again, we're having this talk against the COVID-19 pandemic, and with the previous speakers, one area that she mentioned, the issue of loss. And when we talk about loss, you're looking at loss of income. How do you manage through all of that self-care component? I would classify myself in terms of where I am in my career as an early career person, just in 5 or less than 5 doctoral studies. And so, being that young in my career and being where I'm at Northern Carolina University, based in Jamaica, Mandeville, Jamaica, in terms of its in campus, and serving as a administrator, as a chair of a department. One of my colleagues, one of the faculty members in the department, invited to sit down. The member said, Jason, how do you do it? How do you balance work and family? And I see you doing, as I would presume, a number of things. And during that conversation, I said one of the things that has helped me to be able to be here and there, so to speak, and make the conscious attempt to be as balanced as I can. But there are going to be some days, or there has been days where the equation has been imbalanced, whether that is between balancing family, balancing personal, balancing professional. But I said to the member, to the faculty, I strive as far as possible to remember the issue of self-care. And a part of doing that is that I do take time out. I do seek to create a schedule. And at times I do go slow. But essential to that is that I seek to be flexible. And I reckon that it has allowed me to personally give in to ears and to be sidetracked by your passion and ultimately looking at your purpose. I'm sure members on this call, you would have heard about different strategies for self-care, whether you take a day out of the week, or you take an hour, a particular time out of the day, or you ensure you refocus, that you do that special activity that allows you to peace with yourself. One of the other things that I find to the faculty, flexibility and being able to adjust is important for me as an individual. And as I seek to also build other strategies, you members on this call must look at your wellness in totality. What are we talking about? Your mental health? Talk to someone? Yes. Really talk, your communication, check your communication. Be able to express yourself, emotional health, social health, your spiritual health. So your sleep, your exercise, your nutrition. And as I said, at times I do get the equation not balanced. But that sense of consciousness that it's not balanced allows, as I would say, recalibrate. To say, all right, Jason, let's push for balance. That go easy. And I say to myself occasionally, Mama said the other day is like this. My mama said the other day is like this. I sing a song of some sort. So when those days come, and they do come, when you feel the pressure, the demand, you say, hey, I acknowledge that it is here. Pause. That constant self-talk, very important. Very important. Self-affirmation. It's not about any narcissism that I would want to be preaching, but empowering. You got to speak life into yourself. As I wrap up this idea, this note, how do you really pause in the chaos that exists? Because you must come to the realization chaos and crisis will continue to be. Just today in a global leadership summit that is taking place, it would have taken place earlier, a virtual one. One of the speakers noted that, hey, leaders, if there's no crisis, chances are you can't see a true potential, and that crisis exists or will exist to really pull on that leadership quality. I say that to say there are going to be difficult times. So acknowledge those moments when they come, though fleeting they may be, though short-lived. For some, it may be, a recurring decimal that in between is too short. One crisis after the other. How do you take care of self? Let's pause and step back. Again, they say you can't, pour from an empty cup. You can't give what you don't have. So the issue of gratitude then comes into the mix. The issue of gratitude. Got to be able to give what you have. So build that. Take time out. We can always look at some different strategies, but I want you to get to a point of consciousness, flexibility, and appreciation of who you are as an individual in the process. Blessings, everyone. Blessings.
All right.
Excellent. Thank you so much, Dr. Winter. Yes, we did hear all of that, including your musical rendition. Thank you so much. Again, it never ever is repeated enough about self-care, and you mentioned sort of having that consciousness, that intentionality and flexibility when it comes to our own self-care. Because we speak to clients about it a lot. However, we speak to clients a lot about it, but we never really take a moment to step back and say, how am I taking care of myself? Am I taking care of myself? And I'm recognizing a sort of theme from all three of our conversations here, or three of our speakers, is this sort of perspective shifting, whether it's affirming yourself and others on a daily basis, just to kind of shift your perspective for that day, or your perspective on what is typically a very sad and difficult thing to confront, which might be death and dying, to know, again, shifting how we think about how we take care of ourselves in order to give back to others. So thank you again to all our speakers this afternoon. Now, I think we have one question, but if you do have any other questions, please put them in the group. And I'm gonna ask Mrs. Paula Hines to answer this one. Any tips on working with young people at risk for suicidal thoughts, especially in this time?
Okay. The first thing that I would say is listen, 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 and listen some more. Young people may not express themselves in the way we are accustomed to. Many of them express themselves differently. We have to listen. We have to be willing to give them a safe space to express where they're at, to express how they are feeling in words that are meaningful to them, and also take the time to ask them to explain what they mean if we don't get it. That is where I would start.
Thank you so much. And yes, definitely a good starting point is to kind of set the atmosphere, the space for them to feel as though they can be heard, you know, and truly express what's going on. Thank you. Do we have any other questions in the group or in the chat? And if we do not, then I believe, Gerda, you may be managing this process. We are going to break out into breakout rooms for a few minutes, 15 to 20 minutes, just for further conversation about the topics discussed today. Gerda, are you managing that process? And someone is sharing their screen. Yasmin. See, Yasmin is sharing her screen. Yasmin? Okay. Dr. Nicholas.
Absolutely. I was going to say, I was trying to close for Yasmin, right? Because I'm sure you didn't.
I know, me too. I was clicking, but it wasn't working.
Right? So, Yasmin, no problem. At least there was nothing. We were just seeing
No,
the
you're
website.
safe.
There was no-
You're safe with us.
We were totally safe for that. So, the reason why we're doing the breakout rooms is not just, you know, you'll have we'll have us speakers. Unfortunately, Jason wasn't able to be with us directly because of the internet troubles. Otherwise, he'll be on part of the breakout rooms. But this really is your opportunity not only to connect with each other, but also share your experiences, your perspective on really these topics that we're talking about, right? We're talking about providing virtual treatment. We're talking about how we're engaging in conversations about death and dying from the amazing perspective we just heard today. And also like the steps we're doing to take care of ourselves as professionals, right, during this time. So it's a really great opportunity for you to connect with each other, you know, share some tools. So it is our hope that you leave here with not just the tools from the speakers, but tools from each other as well as a part of this conversation. So you get in your group, then we don't have a leader get there. So you don't get there, you're gonna introduce yourselves to each other, right? And then begin the conversation. You'll have one of us will be in some of the rooms, but not necessarily because we are there to moderate you in any particular way, okay? So I know you guys can do this. You'll have a few minutes and then we'll give you warning when we're about to close out the room, you know, to come back here and say farewell. So with that, I'm gonna open up the rooms and you're gonna see something pop up in your screen and you just have to say join. And then that will take you to the room that you're gonna be going into for the evening, so. Okay, so we are in our own room. Right, so Kai, and I don't know if Kai is there as well, so that's fine.
I think Kai had to get up. Sorry, I just did a
Ah.
webinar that ended at 4:30 and then just zoomed right here. So I haven't even gotten up from
No,
this.
no, no. That's completely understandable. So let's just make sure that I think the rooms are fine because like the room that you were gonna be in has 4 other people in it. So that's
Great.
fine.
Okay.
The room
Great,
that Kai was going in has 3 other people in it now, and then the room that our hosts.
Rita?
Well, because you're like listed as camper, so you're not necessarily in a room.
Oh, perfect.
'Cause
That's the trick.
Wonderful.
yeah, so
I'm just gonna go get some water because I'm thirsty.
yeah.
Go right
So,
ahead.
They have like we put them in for 20 minutes. That's why we put in the rooms because given the numbers and so forth to allow for
Yeah.
people to be, which would mean they'll be done at 7,
Mm-hmm.
right? Which would be perfect.
Yep. But by the way, Migdalia had to leave, so she sent her apologies.
Oh, okay.
Okay.
Oh, okay. Thank
Yeah. Yeah.
you. Mm-hmm.
And I am going to go to the bathroom.
Mm-hmm.
I shall be right back.
Okay. Mm-hmm.
Gerdo,
Hi, Jessica.
Oh, hi,
Yeah.
Jessica.
Jessica's connected. You need me?
Oh, no, I was just saying, hi, haven't seen you in a long time.
Hi, Jessica. How are you?
Hello. Hi,
Good.
everyone. Good
Good.
afternoon.
Good
Hi.
evening. Good evening. Good to see you. We just went into breakout rooms.
Okay.
Where our speakers were just finishing up, and their conversation is just on treatments, how you're doing treatment virtually, and how you are doing supervision. How is that going? And any question, like any tips for self-care. So people are just having really good conversations. So if I can just send you to a room, so you can join them. Sounds good?
Sure. Apologies for the delay. I was in a class. Sorry
No
about that.
problem at all. No problem at all. Just the right time to kind of connect and kind of easy doing. Okay.
Awesome. Thanks, Amelia.
So, good.
Hi, Jessica.
Okay.
Hi, Javila. How are you?
I'm not bad. How are you? Long time no see as well.
Long time. And we have unfinished matters to discuss.
We do. The ball is in your court.
I know. I'll give you a call.
All right.
Blessings.
Okay. You should have received the assignment.
Yes, I'm seeing it. Room 2. Thank you.
Yep. Exactly.
You guys take care. Bye-bye.
You too. See you in a few. Yeah. So Javila, what you up to, girl? Working like crazy?
Apparently. That wasn't my intention, but apparently is what I'm doing anyway.
Oh my God, I know, right?
How are you? This is an interesting background you have here.
Yes, that is.
I can't really see it.
Because that is Sanité Belzer. He's the only woman in the money in Haiti.
Ah.
Because she served in she was one of the lieutenants in the Revolutionary War.
I see.
And she's the only one who made it on the dollar. She's on the D good, $10, 10 good.
Okay.
Yeah. So I've had a different background, like a different Haitian woman in every week. So this was my.
Ooh, nice.
Jeanne, who was like also was like she was chief of security for the emperor. So it's a way
have an assortment that you just rotate.
Just for Women's Month.
Ah, lovely.
So I show up in different like thing, and so it's a way for me to showcase all the different women she was.
Very nice. But you're in her face, like we can't even see her.
No. Because I'm like, yeah, because it's like, you see.
It's like, are you on the money or okay? There we go.
Yeah, because it's like it's the way the image is. Like I have to like step out so you can really see her. But I was like trying to put all my Haitian women.
Oh, she looks like me.
Huh?
She looks like me.
I know. I see, woman warrior. Does it say Javila? That's what I think of. Woman warrior. You.
That's what it says right there in the back. I don't know what it says, but I think that's what it says.
It's exactly what it says.
Kaya has rejoined.
Yeah. Oh my God, what a day.
You're telling me.
Let me tell you, man. Like I was like trying to, I've been like, I'm so grateful for Zoom because I got up this morning. I have to go walking because I knew it was gonna be a late night. So I go for this walk. I come out and have like 5 minutes to shower before a meeting. I was like, I either can take a quick wash the body, or I can just wash my face and like put on a jacket over my workout
over
clothes.
your pajamas. Yes, girl.
You know what I mean? So until I can actually shower for the day,
right.
you know, so I can.
I've done the scarf. I've just put a scarf over me. I'm like ready.
You got to be ready to go. So that was like it today. And I was like between meetings and dissertations, and you know, you just never know how a dissertation gonna go. So I'm like, oh my God, I'm gonna be out of there by 5. But then when I look at the clock, I'm like, these people are just having a grand old time. You know, I was like 4:30. I'm like, why are we in like?
We're still here.
I was like, why are we not moving? But it was actually a really good, as opposed to one of those like this is not going well kind of dissertation defense, which I don't have. But you know, but it was like that's why I was a little late. So.
No worries.
Yeah.
We're just in time. Question. So after the breakout rooms.
Small piece of something.
Oh, Guys, after the breakout rooms, we're just gonna take a couple of other questions, and then there's a video.
Yeah, it's just a couple of like, just a couple, like if people have any comments, feedback, remind them that tomorrow we'll be back. And then, you know, they're all about to receive the Zoom link for tomorrow in just a few minutes from me. And then we do have a video that is the We Are Camper. And then, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
Okay.
And then
Get that.
And then you will be done, my dear. Then you can have wine, beer, whatever. You know. Celebrate the day.
Oh God. I have a client after this.
No,
You really?
Kat, you and I have literally been sitting in the same spot from this morning. Because you were at the webinar.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
Wow. What was the webinar?
I had one before the webinars. Before the webinar started, I had a training session before that. So it's been
Did you like my Canpa plug?
plus trying to get in assignments for my 7-year-old because it's the end of term. And the teachers are like, he didn't do this, he didn't do that, he didn't do the other. So I was like, all right, I'll soon come.
Not gonna get done. But okay. Yeah, Kat, you saw that plug Campo Talks and CRCP.
So that again?
You heard me plug Campa Talks and CRCP.
Oh yes, I did. You never see me put it in the chat. I was like, whoopee, good plug. Good job. Good job.
All right.
Wow.
Sorry, I'm not trying to be bougie. It's hot.
I hear you go.
There's construction outside, so I have to keep this window closed, but I don't have air conditioning in this office, so.
I see somebody is, I'm trying to get myself ready because I'm gonna finish this Zoom. Be like, Zoom is done. I can't.
I think we'll probably finish early. What time should we end?
Well, yeah, we say 5:30 to 7:30. So this kind of gives people, and it's really 5:30 to, you know, doesn't have to be 2 hours. It's really like an hour and a half, but giving people the opportunity to really, you know, like we allowed ourselves the time just in case we start late or there's any of these internet issues and that kind of stuff. So people don't feel like, but, you know, but I see some new faces, right? Kai, do you remember from when we did Wish, right?
Yeah, I do. I see them. So that's good.
Yeah, that was really good. So you can see.
Excellent.
No, that was good. That's very good. The speakers were amazing. Yeah.
And they actually kept to their times. That's why we're so they were sharp on their time.
They were
when the main speaker was done, I was like, that was quick. Was she really?
Well, no, she's good. She's very, you know, if you take 10, she's gonna keep it to 10.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. I appreciate timekeeping.
Davila, you're doing a fantastic job. You're gonna be a hard act to follow, man.
I mean, I just take my cues from you. You're always moderating. And what would Rita do?
Don't say that. Oh my. Excellent. No, this is good. I'm sorry. You know what, Gerda? I was really mad at myself. I went looking because I totally missed the hop on, hop off. And then I went looking for it. And then I realized this is like a whole company that does a whole bunch of different things because they have things lined up, you know, and you can sign up for seminars and all of that.
Yeah.
Okay. But it doesn't stay on. Like, it's not like it's recorded and then you can have it.
Oh, yeah. They do all of that.
Oh.
Yeah. You mean the conference itself? Like whatever you do? Yeah, for sure. You can definitely have that. Like it can be recorded, but it's not going to stay on the platform. We're the owner of it. So, you know what I mean? So it's not like it's like just like a Zoom. You wouldn't be able to just go to Zoom and find this recording.
Right.
Yeah.
So could I see that recording? Could I get access to it so I could take a look at it?
Yeah, we can try to get you in there to see it there. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to
Mhm.
do that.
But you can also do a demo. You can have them do your, we can bring them on to a COC, LOC and do a whole
That would be
demo
great.
for you.
That's
So you
a
can
great
really
idea.
fully understand it and understand what the,
Mhm.
what
Because
does it do.
what would be better about that platform than this one?
Oh, so much better. So what it does is that the conference platform, it has a stage section. Hopin has a stage, and on the stage, you can have speakers, you can have music, you can have whatever, and then there are networking sessions. And then the network session, you can have da-da-da. You also, there's a section that's called a booth. You can go into a booth and you can just go see all vendors, sponsors. They can have their own tables, they can have their own stuff there, so the sponsors can be there. And if people want to ask them questions and so forth. And then it sends you announcement. So if you decide, you know what, I'm in a session, I'm gonna go to the main stage. You can literally go to the main stage. When you get to the main stage, there's all kinds of things happening. You can have music be playing, you can have yoga be doing, you can have whatever is happening. And then while they're there, you broadcasting to say, session this is happening, session that is happening, right? So as if you like so it's a very different, it's not the same, at all. And then the person can click. So instead of assigning them to a room session, so essentially they're looking at it and they're like, oh, deaf and dying. And they click and they go into the room.
Wow. That's a great, I like
Yeah.
that because it has more of a feel of a real conference.
Exactly. And then it has a backstage also. So there's a speaker backstage. So when the speakers are about to come on, they go to the backstage link, and then you prep them. They're already there. Mics are checked and everything. So when it's ready to go, and it's like 9:00 is the session, then you press go. They're already there. They're ready. The mic is ready, and it's just like welcome.
Fantastic.
So
That's
how would
good.
that work with the hybrid, Gerda? It would look the same. Everything would be the same. Like, you could see. So whatever it's streaming, the persons that are there are seeing it live, and the persons online seeing it live.
Exactly.
And particularly liking that stage thing for when we're doing all of the plenaries, because we always have a stage,
Right.
So
Instead of sending people to a room, what you would have is the speakers on the main stage. So because they're on the main stage,
Got you.
it feels like they're in the main, like it looks like it, and so forth. And people can still ask questions. There's still a chat function. There's still, but people cannot raise their hands and ask the question.
Okay. They have to go into a chat or something?
They have to put it in the chat room. So they can't raise their hands, which is what I love about it. Because, somebody gets up there, they raise their hand, they take 20, it's as if they're doing their own presentation. Like, we did not ask you to speak for a reason. So,
Lord.
Yeah. So I'm sending a message to let them know they have 3 minutes left.
Okay, great.
Yeah.
We actually had 4 people, 40, over 40 people. Well, at least between the 2 days.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah,
Okay.
I think we'll hit over 50. Last time it was over 80, right?
Yeah, we had like 7. Yeah, we did. Yeah. But
Okay.
we were talking about racial injustice. Like, it's like,
Yeah.
that was a different, these are so tailor-made,
Hot topic.
Yeah, that was a hot topic. But I think this kinds of sessions are so important to bring. I mean, if you saw the people who are introducing themselves in the chat and where they're coming from, okay, Javila, stop hurting yourself. Go.
You realize that
It's
we have
abroad.
somebody from the Great Britain, from outside of England,
The Great
outside
Britain.
of London. Yeah, that is so cool.
Yeah.
Okay. So
that
they're
was
saying
really
close
great.
now.
I know, because I'm sending a message saying like they have 2 minutes and stuff. So
Okay.
I'll try to get the slides ready for the Javila, the slide that's coming is just gonna remind them of tomorrow's session, and then
Okay. Oh, by the way, the slide for the governor, his face never came up. I think
Really?
you have to, yeah, you have to click on the link.
was
His
just audio.
voice came up. It was just audio. It wasn't visual.
Really?
Yeah. So
Okay.
tomorrow we have to click on the link.
I did. That's what I did, and it
Oh,
didn't.
you clicked on the YouTube
Yeah.
link?
I didn't
Yeah.
realize he was supposed to be there. I heard the audio though.
Yes.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So what I'll probably do
Oh,
is
praise be. My client just canceled. Sorry.
What happened?
My client just canceled. Oh,
Oh.
gosh. Never been so happy.
I hear that.
Is everyone here going to, well, all right, not Rita, but are you guys going to UVI
I
in
will.
November?
Going to what?
To see you in November.
Of course you are, and you're coming too. Yes, you are.
Are you guys sending a plane to Jamaica?
We might have to.
Are you chartering?
Yeah, you know, we might have
Is that the
A
kind
flight?
of treatment?
You do realize that I could get a plane to you in 2 hours. I mean, that's the sadness of
Right,
our
great.
crazy situation. It is
Mhm.
crazy. This is sad.
Yep.
But I want to tell you all how much I love you and how much I love Canpa and all of that. Tomorrow is my 33rd wedding anniversary, and I
Wow.
had to change the dinner that we had scheduled till the following day because it only hit me like 2 days ago. It was like, wait a minute, that's tomorrow. I mean, you know how you talk about disassociation, right? There's my life, this life, and then there's the Canpa life, and sometimes never the twain shall meet.
I see.
Until 2 days before?
Well, happy anniversary, man, to you.
Yes,
Thank you,
congrats.
thank you, thank you.
Oh, gosh. Oh, gosh.
Yes,
So
yes,
it's 7 o'clock. Should we close out the rooms?
yes,
Yes,
please.
let's do that.
Yes, yes.
Yep.
So they're gonna get a 60-second
Okay. I see
warning.
that.
Seconds to make it.
Okay. And we're just closing this out now, so we're only on for another 10 or so minutes, right?
Exactly. We're just gonna ask
I'll
to see
ask
if
if they have
anybody
any
has.
questions or anything that came up in their groups.
Right. Okay. Got it.
I know Jason isn't with us, so I guess that was me.
Welcome back, welcome back, welcome back, everyone.
Yes, yes, yes.
Yes, welcome back, welcome back. So we have to export you from good conversations, I'm sure. Right, so welcome back, welcome back. The others have 12 seconds, whether or not they want to or not. It's about
What happens after that?
5. Yeah, exactly.
Welcome.
There you go. There you go. Welcome back.
They're there.
Sorry. I know. Sometimes you're in the middle of I'm sorry. Sorry.
Thank you, though.
I know. We're sorry. We sent so many warnings. We're sorry.
The conversation was good.
You know, it's on track.
Great. Yeah.
Welcome back, everyone. I trust that you had a very interesting and fruitful conversation since many of you didn't come back in time. Are there any questions or feedback or interesting things that came up in your groups that you want to share with everyone? And you can unmute your mic or you can type it in the chat.
So this was more something that I was just thinking about.
Okay.
I didn't mention this or anything, but I'm Miss St. Croix, and my platform was the destigmatization of mental health, or is, because I'm still the reigning queen. But and I was listening to the presentation that we had, and I just found it so interesting because for me, I always was like, educate. Like, let's tell them, like, this is what these different disorders are. This is what these conditions are. But I never thought about changing the language so that it's more like people are more accepting of it. Because for me, I'm like, I just don't understand. Why can't you just be okay with, So I was just like, well, how about we talk about the physiological side of things, and maybe that'll help them like be more accepting that, they understand it's something with their body as well and not just their mind. But changing the language is like such a great way to approach that. So I like really appreciate that because I never thought about it. And yeah.
Nice. Thanks for sharing. No, that is awesome. Yeah, and it's something that jumped out to me when Dr. Brathwaite was speaking. You know, I never thought about it much. I mean, you know, you think about it every now and again, but changing the language really sort of opens up the space for other persons who are not as knowledgeable about it as you might be or we might be, to really engage in conversation about it. You know, so I think it's an excellent thing. And now hopefully it's something you can use as you continue, and that's a great platform to have as well. So thanks. Are there any other questions or comments, feedback from your conversations?
It was interesting. I was just gonna say, Miss Sequoia, so always so happy to be around a queen. So thank you so much. You know, yes, in that way. So thank you, great to have you with us. But really, just like we always try to say in our field, how important it is that people are not their disorders. You know, that we have symptoms and so forth, and I think part of that stigma is sort of like when we continue to refer to people as having something or being that thing, then versus that I'm experiencing depression, I'm experiencing anxiety, which means something that I can work towards out, versus that I am it. I am depressed. I am, because that's such an affirmative thing that's likely feels like it's you, like just like I am a woman, I am, you know, Haitian, feel becoming to be like take its own post as an identity, you know, versus
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I completely agree. And like I've been teaching like my closest friends at least, and just like people I talk to, not to refer to somebody as schizophrenic or like by their disorder. Cause like I grew up with epilepsy and I would hate if someone was like, you're an epileptic. No, I had epilepsy. I like grew up with epilepsy. That's not who I am. It just happened to me. You know what I mean? So yeah, I like promote that 100%. I actually talked to Dr. Grant about that too.
One of the things that I learned in my group was, and I'm glad we were able to share a little bit of it, although we didn't go into a lot of depth, was really comparing the virtual platform, comparing it to face-to-face counseling, and the challenges that we face as therapists, counselors, and so on, and how we really have to negotiate that whole new experience, because it's a totally new experience. And in order to prevent burnout, because what you will find, I thought when we were now sheltering in place, as they called it, and so on, we'd be going on the platform, virtual platform, it would be an easier way to approach counseling and therapy. But no, I think it's difficult. It's more difficult because you are so pressured by the time frame to provide the service to the client, get it all done within the time frame, so you achieve your goals for that session, and then you move on to the next if you have other clients or things like that. And you know, there is not that necessary, the bonding part of it that you get face to face with your clients can be missing sometimes, and your clients, they themselves are still adjusting to this little framework that they have to be talking through. And so it really compounds the need for self-care and everything else that we as therapists, as well as supervision, that we have to make sure that we are maintaining the privacy and different things like that. So that's a topic that really impacts us together as a community of helpers. And we shared a lot. You know, I learned a lot in my group.
Nice. Thank you so much for sharing that. And I agree 100%. You know, you think, okay, I'll just sit in front of my computer and we'll just, you know, we'll do this. But it really does require a lot more of us, even just as you mentioned, this, you know, reading body language. There's so much more that we took for granted, I guess, seeing people in person. But now we have the complexities of, you know, is the person's video, you know, too pixelated, so I can't really make out their facial expressions, you know, or, you know, again, just the technological glitches, even like what Dr. Winter had earlier today, we face that with our clients. So there are a number of hurdles that we didn't necessarily, or we don't always think through anyway. And so I like that you tie that to self-care as well, because we also have to be a little more flexible and adaptable to the way things are right now. Maybe we might have to, you know, lessen the client load for that day, because you can't do back to back to back on Zoom, right? So yeah, things like that I think are pretty good.
And it's really interesting because as we were talking about that, one of the things that we experience in Haiti is that oftentimes people are not necessarily access mental health services in Haiti, but because of COVID, for the very first time, we were able to actually have a phone number that was actually given for free by Digicel, so we can actually set up a hotline. And the hotline is actually housed by only mental health clinicians. And the number of people who access that number is unbelievable. We needed to increase the hours as a result of it. So more people were accessing mental health services in the country for the very first time, not related to COVID, related to family issues, related to like domestic violence and other issues and so forth. Much more so because they could get 6 free sessions by calling this number and talking to somebody directly. So, so so that which we thought would never work with Haitians as a cultural group that's so connected personally, that it actually is working incredibly different, right?
For us too, I can concur with a different nuance that we have had more adherence to or better adherence to counseling and therapy as a result of telepsychology, because it's just more convenient for some. Yes, some don't have access, but even the phones have been using the phone as well more, so phone sessions as well as video sessions, and that has increased it definitely, especially with children and adolescents, because who would rely on a parent sometimes to take them in to a session, but now they'll just click it themselves and they're on and whatever. So yeah, the virtual world has some benefits.
The pros and cons, lovely. Anyone else? Last call.
Yes,
Questions,
another thing we mentioned in our group was culture. And it's very important to understand the client's background and ethnicity and belief system in order to be sensitive and respect the differences in opinions and values and attitudes of the various cultures and different types of people. And one of the questions posed was, how do we do it in the Virgin Islands?
Awesome.
Yeah, I think culture is so important, especially like, I don't know about like the other islands and how culturally diverse it is. But I know like on St. Croix, we have literally people from all over the place. Like we are such a melting pot of different cultures. It's like, how do you accommodate to each set? Because I'm a Hispanic and I may carry myself in one way versus somebody from, another island, even if it's like the Dominican Republic, same Hispanic background, but completely different cultures. So I think culture is just so important, especially when treating and approaching people who are dealing with different, conditions and emotions and stuff like that.
Right, absolutely. It's just interesting you said that, because Kaya and I were literally just at a conference speaking a bit more about this kind of having a cultural context or using cultural context when we're working with clients, because it's absolutely important. Everything that we do exists within its own cultural context. Even just within your family might be different from another person who may share similar ethnicity, but your families operate differently, and that influences the way you interact with the world versus the way they may interact with the world. And so we do have to take the time out when we are working with persons to get to know where they're coming from, what's their worldview, what's their culture. I think that's what helps us to kind of know how best to tweak whatever it is that we're trying to achieve with them to be a more receptive or to be a more relevant, whether it's treatment or just conversation that we need to be having. But it's just that openness, that curiosity as well, willingness to learn from others. And so, yeah, I think those are just some of the things. But yes, I do think the Caribbean is a huge melting pot, right? So.
Right. I would even take it a little further, jobs, because even within the context of one family, right? Two siblings, completely different, worldviews and all of that. So we're always kind of when we come down to the individual, we always have to be in that position of learning, Yeah.
Absolutely.
I just want to make sure we acknowledge Mr. Narisman. I think you were trying to say something. I don't know if you got cut off. No, okay.
I think Rita has her hand up. Rita Khan?
Oh, yeah.
Yes.
One second, Rita. I was just trying to make sure because maybe somebody doesn't know how to raise their hand, but I thought Mr. Narisman had his hand up, trying to say something, just trying to connect with you.
No, I was just trying to say that just yesterday I had to speak to 2 new recruit nurses from Cuba with absolutely not even one word of English. And it was really, I can understand a few words of Spanish, that is true. But the way they speak, I cannot understand anything. If it was a movie or something, yes, maybe I can understand 1 or 2 words, but in reality, face-to-face Spanish is very difficult for me to understand. This is the problem with the Caribbean. Yes, we want to help people, but when you send people from a different island, at least give them some training in the language, or as they come in, let them get some training in the language. I believe this has been happening for a long time. I live in this country for many, many years. And I know eventually, yes, they will all learn English, but by the time they go, they will be very good in English, but they're already gone. We got to get a new set of people talking again. That becomes, especially in psychiatry and psychology, it becomes very difficult for us to manage that.
So important. I know it's one of those things that we really think about within CAMPA quite a bit in terms of the language piece, because as you know, we host a conference every other year, as we're about to host in in different members' nations. So they speak very differently. And we really try to shift the narrative, so not to think of it as a challenge, but also it really is like, what a blessing that we do have different languages in the region. And but so how do we find ways to actually be innovative to really do so? So one of the things which we didn't do tonight because we didn't have any speakers who are in the different language is that if we have a speaker, the speaker could come in and they could say, look, I want to speak Spanish for my presentation. And we would have done it so. While the speaker speaks Spanish, and you would have been able to get the subtitles in English at the bottom of it. So we have to think about the creative ways that we are celebrating people's language and their culture, as we're talking about, as opposed to saying we must all be monolingual in the language, in English speaking. So I really, really appreciate what you had. I knew you had, you were ready to say something. So I appreciate you saying that, because I think it's an area that we hadn't thought about. So I'll turn it over to Javila.
Thank you, Gerda, for catching that as well. And thank you for sharing. I see 2 hands up. Rizel, you can go ahead.
Thank you. Good night again. Just to further to Mr. Parbakan's point, in Guyana, we have a long, loving history with Cuba as a pro-commie country. And we have a lot of our psychiatrists, even psychologists that visit, are from Cuba. We have a long history with medical persons from Cuba coming into Guyana. And so it can be pros and cons, of course. I've gotten feedback from people who go to public hospital in Georgetown and say, oh, well, it's a Cuban psychologist, but there needs to be another doctor there. I don't know if they mean to translate, or that's just a system that public hospital is using. I suspect it's a translation thing, making sure that it's being conveyed exactly what the person is saying. But the benefit of that is I get a lot of calls from Brazilians and persons who speak Spanish and so on. And so what it is I do is just, oh, you know what? I have 2 psychologists or a psychologist who's from Cuba or Brazil, and I just put them on. Like, I'm not even going to struggle anymore. In the beginning, I'd be like, okay, if you speak some English, like, let's just see. And I'm like, no, now I'm just like, I can be spoiled. I can pick and choose. Like, I know more people now. We have more professionals. But when we only have so many limited professionals, it puts a lot of strain on the few psychologists. And for those who don't know, Guyana has like 7 psychologists in the entire country, like that's it. And so it puts a lot of strain on us, a lot of pressure to get things done and support as many people as we can. And then my second point was pertaining to culture. So I had the privilege of being a student of Dr. Sharon Ann Gopal McNichol of Trinidad and Tobago, and quite seasoned psychologist from Trinidad. And she was like intensely passionate about ethics because she's worked with the APA, and cultural psychology because she dealt with Caribbean persons in the US. And so there was a lot of work, and she wrote books and we've read them to ensure that we understood contextually how Caribbean culture, looking at it through the lens of psychology. And I did a double major in York in Canada of Latin American Caribbean studies and psychology, not knowing how those two worlds would collide 4 years later. And I understand now how important it was for me to do Latin American Caribbean studies and psychology, because Guyana's we're a country of 6 national races. That's not including Douglas and mix-ups and Buffianos and Garrafonas and all these things. So understanding culture is very important for us. And because, for example, I work with the LGBTQ community in Guyana, understanding how religion and society and gender expression, these things play into person's mental health and their lived experience is really important, at least in the Guyanese context, and I'm certain in the rest of the Caribbean.
Absolutely. And now I'm definitely getting a sense of why you guys were still stuck in those breakout rooms, because there's lots of conversation here and there's so much that we could definitely discuss. So thank you so much for sharing that, Rizal. Izani, and I'm not sure if I pronounced your name correctly. You did have your hand up earlier. Was that a mistake, or did you want to speak as well?
I did. We were talking about language barriers, and I just wanted to tell a little story. So I'm a crisis counselor, and so we do a lot of community outreach, and I will go to COVID testing sites to hand out pamphlets about our counseling service, because we also do something similar to what Ms. Nicholas, Dr. Nicholas, Ms. Nicholas was talking about. And we offer that free counseling. So I'm just getting out there, handing out pamphlets. I came in contact today with 2 women who are deaf. And not only were they trying to get their test results back, but I was also trying to explain to them what we do. You know how there's that whole idea that all deaf people can read lips? Not true. So I actually looked up several basic signs just so that I could explain to them their results came out negative, that we do counseling, it's free, you know what I mean? So I learned some sign language today because I just wanted to be able to communicate with them. So I just want to stress the importance of appreciating and accepting others, even if it's not your language. If you meet a Spanish person, you're trying to tell them about something, you can look up the word, try your best to pronounce it, because they'll really appreciate it. I know the women I spoke to today, they were so appreciative that I just at least tried, even though I wasn't making complete sentences. I said, wait, results 15 minutes. But I tried,
Thank you for sharing that. And I mean, again, it's just kind of going back to, I think Kai had said it earlier, just being in a position of learning. And I mean, I do understand some of the issues as well that have been raised. But yeah, being in a position of learning and curiosity. Now you know some very interesting words in sign language. I mean, those aren't typically people's first words in sign language, but there you go. And so, again, to have that sort of posture and that sort of cultural humility, I guess it would be. But thank you everyone for joining. Thank you everyone for sharing and for the conversation. Don't forget, we do have Campa Talks again tomorrow. So this was just part 1. Tomorrow we're looking at virtual supervision, and that will be chaired by none other than our esteemed Rita, who was here. Well, Rita, you are here. Sorry, she signed in as Campa host. And so we'll be having more conversation tomorrow about what supervision has looked like in the virtual world. So please do join us again. Thank you again for the conversation, guys. And apart from joining Campa Talks tomorrow, remember that the Caribbean Regional Conference of Psychology is coming up in November. So please sign up, register. If you have something that you want to submit that, especially for COVID-related topics at this point. And we look forward to seeing you all again. Dr. Nicholas, I think you are gonna send us out with a couple of slides. Thank you again, everyone.
Well, thank you so much. I want to say a special thank you to our amazing speakers for today. So I know you join me in saying an awesome thank you to really all of you for an amazing job. Thank you so much, Dr. Hines, for still being here. Really wonderful
Yes,
to have
thank
all of
you.
It was really great. And I know that you join me in making sure that we have the best moderator on this side of heaven today, right? So we really say a special thank you to Javila for moderating our session today. Was really awesome. What a great way for us to bring the Caribbean together when we actually bring each other in a space like this. And of course, these Camper Talks is nothing without all of you showing up today, right? To be a part of this conversation. And we really hope that you get a chance to not only learn something and really appreciate what it is right saying that we fed her soul today, but we really hope that you get a chance to also connect with each other. You made a friend, one other person, right, as well in the region, which is really part of the reason as to why we do this. So it's really speaking about language and the appreciation of culture and language. This video to send you off is an opportunity to celebrate just that, right? To celebrate exactly this piece about how important it is, what can happen when we come together and as a union. So just very quickly, we'll share the video. It won't take that long, so we can send you off on your way. I hope you're able to see my screen. Are you able to see the screen when I share it?
You did, and then now it's gone.
Okay, but you could see it when I shared something.
Yes,
All of
yes,
you disappeared.
yes.
Okay, good. Okay, great. Just want to make sure, right?
Yes.
Despite racial injustice, door mensen veroorzaakte rampen en natuurrampen.
Nanga na fasfade wa broko kulturu nanga fostendresi.
Nunca pensamos a faz que fez valendo.
We are Canpa. Juntos somos
Samen zijn wij Kampa.
We na Campa.
No se Kampa.
Muchas gracias.
Thank you so much. Thank you.
Thank
Right?
you.
Good. Thank you, everybody, for
everyone.
joining. We look forward to seeing you tomorrow. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Yes,
Great job.
awesome.
Thank you.
Take care, keep safe,
Yes,
everyone.
be safe. Yes. Thank you,
Yes,
everyone.
Take
Have a
care.
good
Bye-bye.
Bye.
See you tomorrow.
See you.
Bye. See you tomorrow.
Bye.
Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.
Bye, everyone. Thank you.
Bye.
Thank you. Be safe.
All right.
Sarah.
All right.
Awesome.
Thank you.
Mhm.
Thank you, Gerda. Another
Thank you, Gerda.
fantastic success, as always.